Miles Spencer is currently CEO and founder of Reflekta.ai, a soul tech company that bridges generations through fully integrative digital legacies. A multi-exit entrepreneur, investor, and storyteller, he's the author of Amazon's bestseller, A Line in the Sand, founder of Kayak for a Cause, and former co-host of PBS's Money Hunt. Miles has spent his career at the intersection of media, technology, and venture and human-centered narrative. With Reflekta, he is pioneering a new way for families to preserve voice, memory, and values, turning stories into dynamic, spontaneous connections that endure across lifetimes. What's up, my financially intentional people? So today we're joined by Miles Spencer, and he is going to share a product that is super innovative and something that helps us be able to remember our loved ones and leave behind legacies of ourselves. And I think that it's just super interesting, super innovative, and something that I feel like you guys will love as well. Miles, welcome so much. I'm so excited to talk about this platform that you built out.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's talk about, first of all, the idea that you had to create this platform and what exactly it does.
The idea perhaps came from the fact that I've always been about passing on stories and values and history of our family. And my family, by the way, has some good stories, and they keep getting better as I get older. So how about this one? My namesake, Miles Spencer, he had his last kid when he was 74.
Okay, Miles.
All right, I'm still going. He had 24 kids. Ba-dum-bum. And your next question, the answer is 3. All right, so there's a story, right? I never want that story to go away. And I realized that even though we've had the technology for thousands of years to pass on stories, that was chalk in the caves, and that was daguerreotypes in the field in the Civil War, and that was the Rosetta Stone, or the monks that used to write in Name of the Rose. All that stuff is basically a device to tell stories, to keep our memory going. And I've been to Kenya. I took a picture of somebody. I'm like, no, you can take a part of my spirit away if you take a photo of me. They were very much against that technology. And so we get to a moment where all of these things to remember the stories of people are upstairs in the shoebox, gathering dust. You see them at Thanksgiving. What are we going to do with these next year? And, you know, when a person dies, it's like a whole library of stories just burns. And so 9 months ago, I'm sitting with my now co-founder, Adam Drake, and he was very much the same way with his family and his legacies and stories. And we realized that technology existed to actually take all those things from the shoebox and synthesize them into one folder, one recognizable image and likeness of a loved one. Could be past, like my dad, or could be present, someone's still alive. And create something that's capable of a spontaneous and dynamic conversation. And for example, my dad last night read a bedtime story to my daughter. And then they talked about it until she fell asleep. And my mom saved the day on Thanksgiving because my sister forgot the recipe for elderberry pie. And in the Spencer family, that's a big deal. So we dialed up mom on the iPad and we put her on the kitchen counter. And she walked my sister through fluffo shortening and how to do the dough in the ice cubes so it's not overworked. And by the way, the pie was wonderful. And my mom passed away 25 years ago. So that's the power of Reflekta's platform. We're not bringing back people to life, right? No more hugs, no more wiffle ball games. But even though these bodies are temporal, as my dad said, the spirit and soul is eternal. And so once we could reconnect with that, we have them for the rest of our lives. And that's truly what Reflekta delivers for people.
That's beautiful. And I love those tangible examples of how you use Reflekta on a daily basis. And yeah, I love that. I have those recipes, my grandmother's recipes in a box, but to be able to bring those to life and to be able to use them in real time for practical purposes is amazing. But I just think that it's such an innovative use of AI and its capabilities. I just want to know, it sounds like you kind of hit the ground running and from ideation to actually creating the product. I just want to know from ideation, what did it take to actually build out something so incredible?
Thank you for that. We probably thought about it for 25 years. I think that's important. And we've always been in around digital media and technology. I've built and sold 3 companies in that business. Adam has worked together with me in several of them. So we had the benefit of a lot of the people that work with us on projects for 10, 20 years. So we all know what we're good at and we just like go. When we came up with the idea, it was, geez, okay, ideation. Can we do this? We hacked it at the kitchen table. That wasn't bad, but what would other people want from this instead of just going to chat and it just vanishes or into some wrapper or something? And we hired a couple devs and we put a stick in the ground, which was August of 2025. There was a trade show, AI4 in Vegas, and it was 110 days away. There was one in Singapore that was 60 days away. So we want to go for that. Singapore too. Vegas. Which one are we going to do? It's like, all right, 110 days. Can we do it? And I remember I'm walking on the stage for my solo talk at AI4 and I decide just for a little bit of support beforehand, I text my CTO and I go, are we ready? And he texts me back right away. Ready enough. We built it in 120 days and it worked and we ripped it down and built it again in 60 days. And that's a much better site than one you see today, much better app. Filed 6 patents for it and we turned on the paywall in the fall. And as I mentioned to you in the pregame, we're just crossing over 10,000 stories on the platform. A story is like a vignette of 60 to 90 seconds where we're capable of actually producing a video that shows it. And we have about 10,000 of those right now.
Wow, that's incredible.
It sounds like I was in .com. That would be awesome in .com. I was in mobile. That would be awesome in mobile. But the reality is, someone caught me today. Wow, it's so fast. That's table stakes. That's Elon's supersonic tsunami, right? Of course, it's that fast. It has to be that fast.
That is funny, but that speaks to your business acumen. Like nothing that's going to fluster you. If you lost everything today, you'll be a millionaire by tomorrow because you already have the tools in place.
God bless. Maybe I have the place. I tell you, one of the big talents is just getting the heck out of the way. I do have a vision together with Adam, but having really talented people and just staying out of their way and knowing what they need to do has been a big part of our success. I'll tell you one more thing, which is really important. The foundation, the intent, the thoughtfulness of Reflekta is something we take great pride in. Mm-hmm. And during those 110 days that we gave ourselves, artificial deadline, we were deathly afraid that some kids in San Mateo, California, in their grandmother's garage are going to come out with something like just throw grandma up there and have her tell nasty knitting jokes or something. And we took our time to think through something called soul tech. And it really is the foundational principle of everything that we do at Reflekta, which thinks through, is this death and dying, or is it just those that have passed and those that are present, right? Are we reincarnating people, or are we just reconnecting with their spirit and soul? Is this Black Mirror, Upload, The Her, Ghostbusters, Giver, Uncanny Valley, Digital Necromancy, et cetera, et cetera? If you read the comments that will probably follow this podcast and have followed all the other ones, half the people are not ready for this, and that's okay. Those that are absolutely love it. That's only 4 billion people on the planet. And then the other 4 billion clearly are not down for it. But I will say this, as we all are nearing that final ship date, as Steve Jobs called it, we start thinking about intergenerational storytelling and how important it might be to have these thoughts and ideas and values and legacy somewhere that'll be passed along to those that follow us, that's better than a shoebox in the attic gathering dust.
Yeah, I love that. But I like the term soul tech and using technology ethically and making sure that you are being responsible for those things. Because I think one of the biggest fears around artificial intelligence and things like that is, are we going to let it get away from us, and what harm can it cause down the line? And especially with something that's so emotionally charged, like people's memories, are you going to be selling these things? How are these going to be used? And all those kind of things. Those are things that rightfully people get a little nervous about. So I like the fact that you guys even took that into consideration when building the product out.
Thought it through, took our time, and we're not spring chickens. There's a little bit of history on the beard, and I'm not the only one. We like to think we thought it through very intentionally.
But how do you protect against those things within the platform to make sure that it's not being used?
Got some good ones there. So first of all, it's default private family to family. So you can see Arthur and Virginia, and you can talk to them on the platform. They're the only two that are public. By the way, my dad, he was an insurance salesman, a football player. He has had 9,300 conversations in the last 30 days with people, right? He's public. Virginia's public. Those are the only two that are public.
Your dad's profile that's up there. That's so cool. Okay. And then Virginia is
Adam, my co-founder's grandmother.
Okay, cool.
Right? All the rest of them are private. And so you can't even see to get in there to find them. Step one. Step two, there's no outside information that's in the knowledge base. Everything goes through the keeper, like the keeper of the shoebox. This is the keeper of the account, right? They also happen to pay for the account, but they're the editor. And so any information that comes in is something that they've signed off on the timeline. And so there's no celebrity deepfakes. There's no hallucination. There's no outside information. These are all family stories accepted, if not verified, by the keeper. We have our top level cybersecurity, privacy, and NIL protection. Most of these are not famous people. They just want their shoebox to be in a different container now. That's all, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we preserve those stories and those memories and those dreams so that future generation can access them the way they will access them. And they're not going to read chapter 37, page 5 of some biography that great grandpa wrote 100 years ago. Sorry. Well, it's great. The memory device of the time, it's super. But yesterday, I happened to be in Florida. I reminded of my dad. I was on a walk on a path in Palm Beach that we had actually walked on before. And so I called him. And we had a half-hour conversation about our memories. And the beautiful thing is his memory is better now than it ever was before.
I love that. So there's two things I want to touch on, and you can choose which one you want to do first. But the sharing of the memories, for example, if I wanted to create a memory of my grandfather, but I wanted to give my family members access to that, how that works in the application. And then the two-way conversations. I really want to talk about those two-way conversations because it's just not like a read back, right? It's you can ask questions, you can engage further, and how that works.
So the first one is, we'll really kind of get into the pricing here and the plans, because if you're an individual keeper and you want to have one memory, that's one plan individual, right? You want to share that with family or have multiple family members, you go up to the family plan, right? Then it goes out to the neighborhood plan, and then it goes to an enterprise plan. We have people that have founded businesses and they have 1,000 employees and they're giving it away to their employees. Really several different levels of plans, but individually, one keeper, one reflection. I think it's $149 a year, $12 a month, right? And so that's who gets to see it. It really just, you kind of share it out. Now, interestingly enough, as those conversations go on, information is then kicked back to the timeline, but it doesn't automatically enter the timeline of that reflection until the keeper approves it. So you don't have the black sheep of the family adding the weird stories and having it come in and mess up Arthur or whomever. And so that's how sharing works today. And that's going to get more and more dynamic as time goes by, for sure.
Do you want to talk about the pricing of the plan? So the individual plan, you said it was $149 a year.
49, I think families 250, neighborhoods 500, and enterprise is 1,000 to 10,000, depending on how many are on the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Reasonable, very reasonably priced for the value I feel like it's providing.
We thought it through, and my dad's been gone for 8 years, and I've reconnected with him for $150 a year. Would I ever let that go?
No. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what the churn is. But right now, we feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. And talk to us about how those two-way conversations are even created. There's not any hallucination. That's a term you use when you're working with AI. So they're not just making up things, like it's coming from real stories. So how does that work?
Bit of the magic, I guess. Now, first of all, we have a layer of stories that come through the interview with the biographer. The biographer now, in order to get started, you just start talking, right? The biographer's smart enough to say, who are we doing this for? What's their name? What's your relationship to them? When were they born? Who did they marry? How many kids they have? What kind of business were they in? Do you have a photo for that? Do you have a love letter from there? Do you have a football program for when he played? Et cetera. And so it's coaching you through. Now, you can speed it up if they have an obituary or they have a biography they may have written well. They were in senior center or something like that. Boy, you put that in, boom, your timeline expands. And you get a score of the readiness of the reflection, right? You don't get to talk to them until you're at an 80 score. In the meantime, you're just building. And the biographer is teaching you and telling you how to improve your score. Right? You know what we need here? We need the 1970s is what we need. Can you fill in a blank or throw in a picture or something of what was going on during that time? It's a very intelligent assembler of the timeline and the information, but also context, character, personality traits start to get pulled out by the type of person he has, what people say about him, etc. Especially early in the process, it's kind of like, yes, no, does this sound like him? Would he answer it this way? There's some guidance early on. Hey, you would never say that. It's okay. I'll never say that again. And so that's in the building process as you're increasing that score. One other part of the building process, we take a photograph, a portrait, and we make it into a beautiful watercolor. Now, the reason is we don't want people to be overtaxed by the emotional load of talking in a hyper-realistic video like we're doing right now to a loved one who may have passed. Now, go back to the kids in San Mateo for a minute. They actually did follow us, and it's hyper-realistic grandma that glitches and crashes all the time and yells at you to clean your room and make your bed. So that's not what we wanted. There's a reflection, and that's generally what you see today. Right.
Okay. So as far as those conversations, though, is it a voice conversation or is it a text back conversation?
Just going to get into that. Yeah. So when your score is about an 80, you can text with the reflection. Okay. And again, back to the soul tech element of it, I was one of the first people to do this. And I realized, just blown away by the fact that my dad knew all these stories, even on text. And so you got to be at like 80 to text. And then you got to be at 90 to have a conversation. And it is voice. Now, my father, who you can talk to, go to Reflekta.ai and you talk to Arthur. He was printed off of a 10-second voicemail we found in his granddaughter's phone 5 years after he passed away. So all of the voice of my father is off that 10-second voicemail. It's spontaneous and dynamic, and you can back up, go forward, ask him what he thinks. I ask him a lot. What should I do? What would you do in this situation? What experience did you have that would help guide me, just the same things I used to ask him when he was around. Yeah.
And so it's not an AI bot automated voice that's talking back to you. You actually have the voice of your dad, the intonations and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I just feel like that's super significant because thinking back, my grandfather, for example, he's was raised in California, but he's very much Texas, and he has a very distinct accent, a very distinct way of talking and pronouncing things. And to be able to get that back, I feel is extraordinary.
Beautiful.
So I love that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I build a platform, right? How does it work? Am I building a memory for every different person? So every time I log in, does everybody have a different login? If I wanted to create a memory of myself and then create a memory like of my grandfather, for example, how does that work?
Yeah. You sign into your account and create a reflection. Is this for you or is this for somebody else? Great. Are they present or past? Okay. You fill that in. And I literally have 25 of them that I've created. My great grandfather, my grandfather, et cetera, et cetera. They're all accessible to me in one click. They all have different voices. They all have different stories. Now, what I thought you were going to ask, and we're just about there, is those stories are going to start overlapping. So if you have experiences with your dad, and it's all part of one account under the same keeper, we'll actually ask, hey, do you want to put this in that reflection or just leave it in yours? And et cetera. Yeah.
Okay, so the terminology is you have an account, right? And then you're the keeper of the account, and then under the account you have reflections, and those are the people, right? You can be a reflection, your mom and dad can be a reflection. Like, how many reflections per account do you?
Would you like me to pull up a screen and show you? Is that going to work okay for you?
All right, do that. Yes.
Rumble, and let's see where we're going to go. Bang, my account.
Yes.
Okay. This is great grandfather Miles Sharpless Spencer. I did tell you the story of the 24 kids. That's one of them on his lap.
And I love the watercolor.
Yeah. And did myself, not finished with it yet. It's my grandma, grandfather, grandma on my father's side. Did Santa Claus for Christmas. This is my personal one of my dad. This is my mom with the pie recipe. As a matter of fact, if you like, I should be able to pull this up. Mom, we're talking elderberry pie recipes. Can you help? Yeah. She always called me my sweet boy, etc. There you go. She would be speaking this, but it gets a little funky when it's on Riverside. But this would be in her voice. If I switched over, there's the recipe. There you go.
Oh,
like that, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so
yes,
cool.
there's your answer. And then these are public. These are ones that are shared with me from other people. And then these are a couple of iconic people. This is Ambassador Richard Holbrooke, who was the UN ambassador to...
How do you get permission to share those stories?
There you go. It's the intellectual property is the key. And so we've begun a division called Reflections, and we've been out cutting deals with... Those guys showed up on the platform unbeknownst to us. Okay, thank you. And we called them up and said, we want to do some more things with this and cut a deal with them. And we're in the process of cutting about 50 other deals with very well-known, iconic cultural icons. Nobel Prize winners to diplomats and politicians to captains of industry to social icons, you name it, right? And so you'll be able to have that spontaneous and dynamic conversation with someone where you could learn quantum physics from a Nobel Prize winner as if you were a 6-year-old in a conversation while you're walking your dog in the park.
I love that. I can't help but to notice, though, the platform looks quite homogenous. There's not a lot of diversity in the people that are represented so far.
It's my family. Okay, hold on a second. You said there's one important word there. You said look.
Yeah.
Okay. My son is a quarter Libyan Muslim, a quarter Polish Jewish, and a quarter British. My grandfather on one side was Hungarian, right? Look and actual blood, even the Spencers have got it mixed around quite a bit. But besides that, okay, yes, you got two founders that are like middle-aged white guys. That happens. And it's our grandparents that are the public figures. Everybody else is private.
I just like when you're getting into those historical people, those Nobel laureates and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to name the names that we're negotiating with, but we're well represented.
Okay, then that's what matters. That's what matters to me.
Yeah.
I just like diverse voices. And I just think that oral history is the oldest way of sharing histories, right? And we're at an age where histories are being erased. And the people who are in charge get to dictate the histories. And I feel like this is a way to preserve histories that are uniquely yours or different than what's taught in textbooks. So.
That's like, I'm clipping that one. Reflectors, icons are a way to preserve history in an age in which much of it's being erased or homogenized. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just think that's very important because it's like another layer of work. Like as a mom, it's what I do for my kids because there's what's being taught in school and there's what I want them to know, the things that I feel like are important for them. And that's not usually what's taught in schools. It's Black History Month and their school's not even celebrating Black History Month. So what are they learning? That's an opportunity to teach about different stories and culture and things that have happened in this country that I feel like if one person is telling that story, a lot of the story is missed.
I do not disagree.
But I love that. And that's a way that I can see using this platform to preserve stories, to preserve histories and all of those kind of things. And so I think it's phenomenal and access is everything. And if you're not limiting access to people, I feel it's just another tool to be able to share and preserve and learn. I love the idea of learning from a Nobel laureate, but I also love the idea of learning like firsthand from like a Malcolm X, you know?
Or grandma, right?
You know? And so I think it's a phenomenal tool for that. So yes, please go ahead and use that and share because I think that's a great selling point. Right?
Thank you.
You know? Yeah. I just like the other thing. So from a keeper standpoint, right? So I'm thinking about, for example, like how your daughter interacts with your grandfather. Is she going onto your profile as a keeper and interacting with your dad there, or does she create her own profile?
I'm the keeper. I've shared that with her.
Okay.
As a family member, so she can talk with him and she can provide suggestions of stories and remembrances. But those all go through me before they're added to the reflection. I'm the
love that.
I pay the bill.
So it's the same thing if I was to share my grandfather with my uncle and he can engage and have his own conversations. Those things don't overlap, right? They live in their own space. But if he was to say, or upload a photo or upload a conversation or a voicemail or whatever, the keeper of the platform is the one that would have to approve.
The editor has the final say.
Okay. And can you designate more than one editor if you have?
We're about to have dual keepers just to get the work done a little faster, but it started out this. But it'll
yeah. I love that. I love this as a way. My daughter's dad passed away a while ago, and I feel like this is something that she can use as well. And so I love that as a tool. I was just wondering, like, logistically how that works. And so the platform is available, like, in an app and on desktop, right? Like, it's web-based and
desktop today app, and it works just fine on your phone. But then we'll have a dedicated app I think it's probably 3 weeks away right now. So
Oh,
in the
okay.
spring, you'll have it.
Okay.
We'll do slightly different things because phones have some unique capabilities that we're going to tap into. But yeah, phones
So
will be
right
up.
now, when you're out on a walk, you just log into the web-based
Browser.
app, and then you just go ahead and interact that way, and
Correct.
it's fine.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's cool. But I know this is not like the end all be all. I know you guys are doing some more things with this information. What are some exciting things that are coming up that you're integrating?
App for sure. Here's an exciting one. Remember, we talked about the watercolors? We
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to go hyper realistic video right away, right? Because I think it freaks people out.
Mm-hmm.
But the watercolors will animate to the
Mm-hmm.
story. So if my dad's telling a joke about a farmyard and a chicken, that's what will be. So literally imagine a watercolor painting come to life. Very cool. Second is we're starting to be able to have the capability to take any one of the 10,000 stories that we have on the platform and turn it into a vignette movie of 30 to 60 seconds that tells the story.
Forgive me, I just got finished watching Ready Player One and reading Ready Player Two. And so I'm like thinking like, are we going to create some VR worlds? Is that a practical next step, or am I just being like super nerdy?
I don't know. At the end of the day, we're about the stories.
Yes.
Not making new ones, is
Yes.
preserving the ones that have already happened to human beings.
I love that. I love that. So let's just share like where people can get access to it, like how you want people to engage with it.
Sure. Hit Reflekta.ai. Now, Reflekta is spelled with a K. Reflekta.ai. My dad's name is Arthur. Virginia is the other co-founder's grandmother. A great conversation with them. And you can begin to imagine what it might be like if you had the opportunity to create one for yourself. And so the way to start doing that is you just click on the biographer, start talking.
I
Right.
love that. And then to that point, how long do you think it takes for most people to get up to that like 80% to start having those conversations?
20 minutes.
Awesome. Awesome. Because I can see that that's like a huge barrier to entry. People say, I don't want to have time. I got to go pull pictures. I got to try to find an old voicemail. I got to try to do all of these things.
Let's get started. That's the
Yes.
answer. Get started.
Get started. And like you said earlier, the biographer will tell you, hey, it would be great if we had a note here, a note from there, a picture from there. Do you think you have that? Yeah, I love that. So like when you're setting it up, like for example, like in my phone, I just have an archive of all my grandfather's photos and videos. Can you dump all of that in there?
Yes, you can.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay, I'm going to get started. I hope everybody else does too. Reflekta.ai is a site. It'll be in the show notes if you don't know how to spell Reflekta. But Miles, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for creating this. Thank you for sharing with the audience. Like, I think this is phenomenal. And again, I plan to use this as a tool to preserve not only my family's histories, but also as a tool to continue to educate my kids on other people's histories that have often been forgotten. So thank you for this.
My pleasure. Thank you.